We've got an RDTA to look at. This was sent to me by Vandy Vape for the purpose of this review. This is the Pyro V3 RDTA. What that means is that it's a rebuildable dripping tank atomizer. So that means that you're going to have e-liquid on the bottom. You can either squonk it or you can actually use it on a regular mod. But it does allow you to have e-liquid on the bottom, which is then going to saturate your cotton, wet your wicks. So it's basically like an RDA on top of a tank. So your cotton, instead of just sitting on the bottom of an RDA, it's actually inside the glass so that it can wick up and it'll wet your wicks for you so that you don't have to drip in it. So they do now have it, well, Vandy Vape has now had, I think 2 now, that you can actually turn into a squonk RDTA, or you can actually just use it as a regular RDTA. Either way, I think RDTAs are great, especially for like those newer vapors that are just starting to build and don't know when to actually drip into their RDA. This will probably be a really, really good addition to their atomizers. So we're going to go down, we're going to take a look at it, look at this thing up close, and then we're going to come back up and pros and cons. So let's look at the Pyro V3 by Vandy Vape. Okay, so here we are with the Pyro V3 RDTA. This is the sample packaging. This is the blue one. They are going to have multiple colors. It's made by Vandy Vape, and it does have Vandy Vape here, Vandy Vape here. On the back, it's actually going to give you your kit contents. Inside, you're going to get your top cap. You're going to get your RDTA section, which is just the glass portion and where you build. And then you're going to get a spare glass just in case you need it. You can actually change out your spare glass. In addition to that, you're going to get some fused Clapton coils. These are actually 2.8 millimeter inner diameter coils. They have about 6 wraps. They're made of nichrome. These they're providing for you if you want to use them. And then they give you a spare baggie. Inside the spare baggie, you're going to get this squonk pin here. And we're actually going to be changing it out to the squonk pin. So I'm going to show you how to do that and how to take it apart. So we'll go ahead and leave that right there. You're also going to get a 510 drip tip adapter. You're also going to get Phillips head screws in the bag as well as some O-rings. And then, of course, your screwdriver and Allen key. In addition to that, they're going to give you your cut it and coil cutting tool. Now, they do say that 6 millimeters is the perfect size for you. Now, I love the fact that they do provide this for those of you that don't have one, but I personally never go anywhere without my coily tool. This one here was actually made in a way where you can actually measure your coil legs based off of the type of atomizer that you're using, whether it be a post atomizer or a postless deck. You can actually determine it by this coily tool, as well as the total of the measurements where you can actually cut it. So I think that this offers a little bit more than what they're offering here. I appreciate it, but I'm still going to be using my coily tool. This is just, it's amazing. So I'm going to continue to use this. Now, in addition to that, of course, you're going to be getting your top cap. Now, on the top cap, again, this does come in multiple colors. I do have the blue one. That's the one that they provided me. On this side, it says Pyro, and on this side, it doesn't have anything. It does come with an 810 removable drip tip, so you can fit any 810 drip tips that you want in this because it does have that O-ring in the inside. Now, you can't take this apart any further, but this does have controllable airflow once you actually have it on the device. Now, you can also change it like, I'm going to turn it right here. That way you can see it. So you can actually turn it really, really easy once it's all put together. And it's got like a T type of honeycomb airflow. So you can close it down row by row all the way until it's all the way closed, which you don't want to use. But you can actually cut down some of your bottom. You can cut down some of your top. You can cut down just the bottom and then leave like 8 holes open on the top and then close down the bottom, having 2 rows closed. Either way that you want to do it to try to restrict it or open it up. I personally like it fully open. This is what the inside looks like. Now, if you notice on the inside it's actually going to have like these little slits right here and holes. Those are actually the slits are going to fit right into here on the deck. And if you notice, there's actually a side airflow hole. That airflow will actually go and hit the side right here. And that's how your airflow is coming in right there. So you're actually getting it from the bottom of the coils and then also from the side because of the way that the T is set up. So this is your side and this will be your bottom. So I like the idea that they did that. This is very reminiscent or very familiar with like the drop RDA. It's got a little bit more holes to it and a little bit smaller, but it is very similar in the way that the drop RDA did work. Now let's go on to the deck. Now this deck right here, this is a 24 millimeter RDTA. It does say Pyro here, designed and manufactured by Vandy Vape. They do include the regular 510 pin when you first get it, but you can change it out to the squonk pin that they provide, as I told you earlier, which we're going to be doing. They do have like an O-ring here. This is actually so that if there is any e-liquid, especially when you're squonking, if there's any e-liquid coming out, it's not going to go all over your mod. So I do like that they provided that. It is a dual coil RDTA. I would not recommend a single coil, but you can do it. It would just have to be a really, really wide coil to try to get in the middle here and get you enough cotton in your wicking channels. Right here and right here are actually your fill ports. So that's where you would actually put your e-liquid in if you were actually using this just as an RDTA and not squonking it. Now, by saying that, if you're squonking it, you don't even have to take off the top because the liquid's actually going to fill up into your glass automatically every time that you squonk it. And you're going to get about 4 mils of e-liquid in here, depending on how you wick it, which I'm going to show you how I wick mine. These right here are your wicking channels, so your cotton's actually going to go down here. And then, of course, you've got your Phillips head screws in all 4 of those. I love the honeycomb on the bottom. I really like that idea. It kind of reminds me like of the Kylan and things like that. So I do like that they put that on the bottom. Now, being that this is kind of a small area right here, the maximum millimeter inner diameter coils that you're going to be able to use are 3 millimeter inner diameter. They provide you the 2.8 inner diameter millimeter coils. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do a build on this, but first we're going to take it apart. I'm going to show you if you were to need to change your glass, all you need to do is just go ahead and unscrew this. It's going to be a long way to unscrew it though, because of that 510, if you notice the threads on there. This actually goes all the way in to keep it nice and tight. Again, you do have a baggie full of O-rings if you need them. Your wicks are actually going to be coming through on these sides right here, right underneath into your glass. Let's go ahead and take out this 510 pin. And we're going to be replacing it with the squonk pin. Now, if you are removing this pin, I do want to recommend that you hold your deck into place as you're releasing it because it will come loose. So go ahead and just put your finger right there and then you can take this out just like this. And the squonk pin is going to require your Allen key. Take that out. Oops, there we go. And you notice it's just as long. And then you're just going to go ahead and replace it with this one. Go ahead and get that other screw. And we'll go ahead and put that one in. And then that's all you have to do to make it a squonkable RDTA. So now that that's in there, now we can go ahead and screw this back on. And now it's a squonking RDTA. Very, very, very simple. I actually have reviewed the first Pyro and the Pyro V2. Absolutely love these RDTAs. They're very, very convenient to use. So let's go ahead and put this on a mod and we're going to start building on it. I'm actually going to be squonking it on my top side dual. I know it's purple and that my top cap is blue, but blue and purple do match, at least for me. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I know that they provided coils, but I'm just partial to my own coils. These are my fuse claptons by Coil Clout. You can actually find them at coilclout.com. If you use the code Wendy, you get 15% off. And they also have the coily tool while you're there, so you can get coils and tools. So I think that's great. So let's go ahead and take out a pair of these fuse claptons right here. Take those out. There we go. And then I am going to be using my coily tool to measure the 6 millimeters. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So 6 right here, which is the suggested length. Go ahead and cut these. Super easy tool. Way better than guessing like we used to have to do when the first Pyro came out. It was so funny because we used to have to guess how long would we need to make the coil legs. And now we don't have to guess anymore. The things that happen in the time of vaping. And then cut this one off and cut this one off. And look at that, we're done. We've cut our coils. So now let's go ahead and loosen up our screws. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit more so that you can see this a little bit clearer. Let's go ahead and loosen that up. And you're gonna see that it's gonna open up right there on the bottom. You see that? And then it's opening up the spot so that you can put your leads in there. We're gonna do the other two as well. So unscrew that one and unscrew this one. And now we can fit our coils in. Set that right in there. Okay, and then we're gonna tighten it down. And then tighten this side down. and then we can straighten them up once they're on. So there we go. And then all we need to do is just take our same tool and straighten it up. So let's go ahead and install the second one. I'm not going to use my little tool because, hey, it's so easy to build on. You don't even need an extra tool. So go ahead and screw that one down. Tighten this one down. Okay, and then we can straighten that one out as well. I'm just going to move that over a little bit. There we go. Center that, and then center this one as well. That way they're where they need to be. And there we go. That's what they're going to look like. Absolutely perfectly placed. And yeah, so let's go ahead and start dry firing so that we can wick this thing up. Just going to tap on that a little bit. What I do sometimes just to get them heat up a little bit faster is I'll pull out the coil just a hair. It's not too much, it's just a little tiny bit. And sometimes that helps them heat up just a little bit faster. There we go, start heating up. We want them to heat up from the inside out, and we want them to not have any hot spots whatsoever. Okay, almost done. It's getting there. Saw that hot spot? That's why it's taking so long. It's got some hot spots right in there. And now we've got them glowing from the inside out. It's time to let this cool down and we'll start wicking her up. And as usual, for today, I'm going to be using my Kendo Vape Cotton Gold Edition. So I've cut a little piece off here. So we'll go ahead and start wicking this up. Zoom in a little bit for you. Now, again, it's really, really important the way that we wick an RDTA. Man, I love RDTAs, especially the Pyro versions. They're absolutely amazing. Now, you want to have enough cotton to actually go right barely under this lip right here, just enough so that your e-liquid, when you're tilting it, will actually wet your wicks. If you're not familiar with RDTAs, it's like basically like an RDA, but your tank is on the bottom, so it'll continuously wick up your cotton and your coils, and you don't have to really do much about it. So that is awesome. The reason why I like it in squonk mode is because I don't have to keep filling it. And honestly, these fill ports here, they're great and everything. They fit any size bottle that you want. I just prefer to do it the lazy way, which is by squonking, because that's why I love squonking. So let's go ahead and put this one through. Just pull it through like that. There we go. On and tight, but not too tight. Okay, there we go. And now I'm gonna get my handy dandy tweezers, my favorite tweezers, and I'm just gonna fluff them out, mainly on the ends and a little bit on the top. And I'm gonna explain why. You definitely want the bottom parts of your wicking to be feathery, like to be smooth like that, because it's gonna pick up your e-liquid a lot faster, and it's gonna be a lot better. So we're gonna cut it right there, and we're gonna cut it right here. Again, right below the glass, like literally like right there. And it's nice and feathery, so we don't have to worry about it, you know, taking time to wick up. It's gonna wick really, really great. Again, RDTAs were actually my things before RTAs, so I really like them. So then all you need to do from here is just, you're gonna take your wicks, and it's a big enough wicking channel, you're gonna stick it right down there. Now what I'm going to do is actually measure this one first, because we don't want it to be too long. I just want it to be peeking through underneath the glass. I don't want it to go any further than that. I want it to peek through. Another thing that you want to be careful of is not to choke it out. So you want to make sure that you can at least fit your tweezers right in there with no problem, because that way you're not going to get any choking out of your cotton, and it's going to be able to wick efficiently because there's space for your air to get through to wick it efficiently. And that's about it. Now this personally is just a tad bit too long, so I'm going to pull it back out, and I'm just going to take off just a little tiny bit more. So I want it to peek out, but I don't want it to hang down. Now this only holds 4 mils of e-liquid. The more cotton that you have in there, or the longer that you have your cotton, it's actually going to make it less capacity. So if you were to have this really low down, in here, you're actually going to be losing e-liquid capacity. So why do that if you don't really need to? A lot of people do like to wick it all the way to the bottom. And when you do that, you're getting about half of the capacity than you would normally. So if you notice, like right now, it's actually peeking out the bottom. That's exactly how I want it. And it will wick efficiently, I promise you. I'm going to show you a couple tricks to keep it doing that. But first trick is going to be making sure that you've got enough space in this wicking channel that you get air in there. So I want to make sure that there is enough space in here. It's not thick at all. It's going in there just fine. And you see, I can actually even wiggle it. So it's perfectly fine. And again, it's right underneath the glass right there. Another way, if you want a little bit more, you can actually undo this and you can pull it from the bottom. If you're not happy with the way that you did your wicking, or you're worried that you don't have enough in there, you can just unscrew this bottom right here. Just take off that bottom piece, and then you can check your wicking that way as well. So here we are, we've got our cotton coming through here, we've got our cotton coming through here. Just put this right back on, and it's just that easy. So for some of you, you might want to do that just the first few times that you're wicking to make sure that it's not bunched up or that you don't have too much cotton in the bottom, because that's going to be important to your wicking. Now, the longer that you have it, it's easier to trim it, but if you trim it too short, then it's harder to make it long. So I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to actually show you this thing squonking. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and squonk it, and you see where it is? It's literally filling up the base. So for the first little while, I will not have to actually squonk, because I'm actually going to be pulling the e-liquid from here up to here. What we're going to do is go ahead and saturate our coils, because we want to make sure that that's actually done first, just like we would in any RDA or RTA. So I'm going to go ahead and put some e-liquid on the coils and then just pulse it, because I want to make sure that the cotton is getting saturated within the coils. And of course, I'm using my royal cheesecake from the Queen by Wendy Vapes line. My favorite cheesecake ever with dragon fruit. So yeah, this is what I use when I squonk. So that's it. I love, love, love this flavor. And then you're just going to keep doing that, making sure that it's going to be saturating the cotton within the coils. Very, very important, because sometimes you will get, it'll take time for the cotton to break in if you don't do this, and then you don't get that good flavor right away. So you definitely want to do that. And then what you can do is also wet your cotton here, wet your cotton here. Oops. There we go. And again, you want to make sure that there's you know, at least some room in here for air to come through, because that is really, really important when it's time for wicking. But if you notice, it's got e-liquid in there, e-liquid in here, and it's nice and saturated. So let's go ahead and put the top cap on. Again, these little slots right here are going to fit into the slots right there. So just going to put that on like this. Okay, and then just push it down. And then we want it to lock into place. So I'm just going to turn it until I feel it lock. And then push it down, and it's going to lock right into place. And there you go. And now you can actually move your top cap to change out your airflow with ease. All you got to do is just turn it this way, turn it that way. I can lock down the bottom. I can leave some open, or I can keep it all open, which is the way that I like to vape. So let's go ahead and take this on top. Again, this is the Pyro V3 from Vandy Vape. So let's take it on top, have a vape, and talk more about it. So here we are back on top with the Pyro RDTA by Vandy Vape, the version 3, of course. So before anything, I'm going to go ahead and have a vape, and then we'll talk more about it. Incredible flavor, incredible airflow. Now let's go ahead and go over it. I did mention down below, and I think I mentioned in the intro as well, that you can actually, this is very similar to an RDA, except for it's got a tank section or a glass section on the bottom. This is actually perfect for those of you that want to venture into RDAs, but you don't know when to drip and you don't want to get a dry hit or anything like that. This is really a great alternative. The reason being is because it is an RDA, but it's got a tank section. So it's literally going to be saturating your wicks for you so that you don't have to worry about dripping. Now, again, this can be used as a regular RDTA on a regular mod with the 510, or you can actually use it for squonking. I prefer this for squonking only because I'm not having to fill it so much. That's going to lead me into my cons. There's only a couple cons, but one of the cons is going to be the fill method. I don't like how, if you do have this in regular mode, where I just have it on a regular mod, where I would have to take off the top cap to fill it. That to me is not I just wish there was a different method that you can do it without actually having to take off the top cap. Being that it only holds 4 mils of e-liquid, I tend to do it a lot because of the fact that I need to keep filling up the tank. That is why I prefer this in squonk mode, because I don't have to worry about that. I just squonk, it goes in there, it's all done. It's wonderful. So I really like that idea. That's one of my biggest cons to this, is the way that you fill it. Is that it's going to be, if you close it off, which you can close it off, but if you decide that you want to close it off and you want to close off, let's say, the bottom and half of the top. When you do this, this has now moved the airflow kind of sideways to your coils, so it's not directly going to hit your coils as it would as if you had it just shut down maybe like by 2 rows or not at all. So either that way or just by the 2 rows like this, then it'll be still hitting your coils right on. Other than that, it's actually veering off your coils. Now, me personally, I absolutely love this wide open because I love the fact that you actually get bottom and side airflow. You're actually getting both. The way that this is set up, yes, I know that it's very similar to the drop airflow, but the way that it's set up is just ingenious because of the way that the inner cap is. The inner cap is actually going, it has that hole in there to go into the side of the build deck to get right underneath your coil. So I absolutely like that. And the flavor on this is just, it's incredible. This flavor is the same as if you were doing an RDA with the bottom and side airflow. It's really that good. So I do like that. I love the fact that they do allow you to squonk with it because they provided you with that 510 pin. I like having versatility and being able to either squonk it or you can actually use it as a regular RDTA. I think that it just enhances it just a little bit more, in my opinion. Now, another thing, another con that I do have on this is the fact that you can't really, not that I use bigger than a 3 millimeter inner diameter coils. 3 millimeter is my preferred to use. I don't really like to use any inner diameter smaller than a 3 millimeter for my vaping style. That's just something that I don't like. But if you have, like right now I've got fused Claptons in here. Fused Claptons, they fit absolutely perfectly. There's no, you know, fighting for space or anything like that. But if you want to do like more like staggered fused Claptons and things like that, it's going to take up a lot more room. The coils themselves are bigger, so of course they're going to take up a lot more room. This to me would be more for like fused Claptons or dual core fused Claptons, single core fused Claptons, even round wire builds. So if you're new to building and you don't know anything about coils and you want to make it with just a regular round wire, or that's what you have and that's what you want to use, you can use it in this with no problem at all. I actually have been vaping RDTAs for years and I used to use them with just round wire coils. It's no problem at all. You just go ahead and figure out how many wraps you want on it. If you want it spaced, you don't want it spaced, and then you just go on with that. So I like the versatility of being able to use different types of coils in this. That to me is definitely a pro. Having the Phillips head / flathead screws is definitely a pro for me as well. And the flavor again is really, really good. I love the flavor. I love the airflow on this, and I love the convenience of it. Having this, what I like about it is that it's not too tall on my squonk mod, which by the way, yes, this is not the drip tip that it came with. This is one that I actually had made by John Elmore, and it actually incorporates the blue and the purple to make it match better. But yeah, so I really like that. It does have a 4 mil e-liquid capacity, but again, if you cut your legs too long, your cotton legs a little bit too long, you're gonna have less juice capacity. So I like to have it right underneath the glass, as I showed you down in the up close portion of this, because what you don't realize is that every time that you vape, you're not vaping like this, you're actually tilting it to vape. When you tilt it to vape, you're actually wetting your cotton. So you're saturating those wicks. So that's not a problem. Now, if you dump it over like this, you're not gonna have any leaking because it is blocked with those little blocks there that is part of the airflow. But if you were to take off the top cap to fill it or change your wicks or anything like that and you dump it sideways, you will have leaking because of the e-liquid fill holes. So I do wanna warn you about that. Otherwise, you can actually do this all day long. You're not going to have any leaking. Another pro for me is the fact that it's convenient. It's literally convenient. Like if you're going to have whatever capacity you have in your squonk device, plus you're gonna have an additional 4 mils here. So technically, if I fill up my squonk bottle and I have this on here, I've got 14 mils of e-liquid. Definitely enough to get me through all day. Well, part of the day because I do vape a lot. But yeah, it does give you even more e-liquid capacity. So that is right there convenient. You can build on it, which is very, very convenient. And I do know a lot of people that actually loved the Pyro and the Pyro V2. And I think that the Pyro V3 is just a little bit more of an enhancement, especially with the airflow style. Other than that, I can't give you any much more than that. I love honeycomb, airflow. Oh, it comes with a 510 drip tip adapter. That is another pro because there are a lot of people out there, believe it or not, that like to use their 510 drip tips. But for this, they did provide the 510 drip tip adapter, which is a huge, huge pro. You can use any 810 drip tips, just like I showed you right here, because I'm using an 810 now. And it's just, it's really, really nice that it comes with a lot of tools. So it comes with your coils, it's coming with your tools, it's coming with the coil cutting tool. Even though I do prefer to use my coily tool, this is just my preferred because I can use it on any device, not just this one, but on any device. So it's really, really nice to have. Again, if you go to coilclout.com and you use Wendy, you can actually get 15% off of anything on there. And get your coils as well so that you have some, because they only do provide you with one set. After that set, you would have to get some more. But yeah, so there are going to be a number of colors. I'll go ahead and leave up the colors right here, and that way you can have a look at them. But yeah, what do you think about RDTAs? Is it something that you're into, something that you're interested in? I know that we haven't had an RDTA come out, I want to say, in at least a year. So to me, I'm really, really excited that they came out with it and they made it squonkable again. That to me is a huge, huge pro. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for my review. If you like the review, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think about the RDTAs. Is it something that you would venture out to think about using? Is it, if you were to use it, would you want to squonk with it, or would you want to just use it as a regular atomizer? So let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in my next one.